Okay, now we're going to turn our attention to the very important role of a captain. What does a captain bring to the side, to the squad, and more importantly, to the team, and the relationship he has with the players and, of course, the manager? Perfect man to ask that question. Curbs, what do you look for in your captain?
Well, firstly, he's got to be on the team sheet. Yeah. You know, he's got to be a player that is going to be in your 11 every time. You know, come rain or shine, you're going to, you know, he's the player that is going to be in there. So that's the first thing. Now, captains lead by example, off the pitch, on the pitch. They lead by their performances, or they're very vocal. And you know, I look at some captains. You know, I had a great one at West Ham, Billy Bonds, who never said much, but a look would be good enough. And his performances on the pitch galvanised people. And if he said something, which was, you know, not often, but it meant everything he said. Then, you know, he took it on board. And then, you know, when I went into management, some of my captains, like Mark Kinsella and people like that, who demonstrated on the pitch why they were in a team and their ability, but was my buffer with the players. And, you know, if I wanted something to get through, filter through, I could call Mark in, talk to him and say, look, you know, I need you, before I do it, I need you to get on with Jason Cundy and have a good word with him about this and about that, before I actually did it. Because if I actually went and did it, it meant it was a bit more serious and whatever, you know. So, you know, so he was the perfect captain for me, someone like Mark Kinsella. Firstly, he was going to be in the team every week. Secondly, he led by example. Thirdly, he was vocal. And fourthly, he would relay my message, and he would also bring the messages from the team to me as well, when they were a bit, you know, unhappy about certain things. And we had the trust. So in a nutshell, they're the four things that you need. Okay,
well, Curbs has said he needs to be on the team sheet. Yeah. The one big captaincy change that's happened over the last 6 or 7 weeks is Wayne Rooney, of course. He's been given that responsibility to Manchester United and also for country. Yeah. But if you think about the amount of players that are coming up through the youth, and we talked about number 10s, about Sterling, Jack Wilshere, Barclay, and then you've got Welbeck and Sturridge up front. Is there a danger that Wayne Rooney, both at club and country, might not be able to be guaranteed a position to start?
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's Louis van Gaal at Manchester United has been very brave, actually. Some would say foolhardy in more or less stating the only player who's in the team every week, fitness permitting, is Wayne Rooney. When you've got arguably greater players also in the team who may have to be left out. Di Maria, Falcao, for example. So, but it does at least genuflect to what Curb says about your captain's got to be in the team. But I mean, the description of that Curbs has just given of what you look for in the captain, as he was saying it, I formed an image of Patrick Vieira. You know, this ability to, particularly when he used the phrase off the field as well. Arsene Wenger was, and everybody at Arsenal was almost in awe of Vieira's charisma, his qualities as a man as well as a player. Now, how often do you find those? I mean, and when you do, it must be like absolute gold. And I don't think it's any coincidence that Arsenal's greatest achievements were achieved during the era when Vieira was the leader of the team.
So you're looking at Wayne Rooney, let's talk about him just for a second. Has Van Gaal and Roy Hodgson in some ways painted themselves into a bit of a corner? Because if he was to be dropped, it would all of a sudden spark you guys in the press will be saying, what's happening here?
Yeah, I think Van Gaal and Hodgson have both painted themselves into a corner, and I don't think they had much choice, particularly Hodgson. He had to decide after Gerrard's retirement, Steve Gerrard's retirement, he had to decide who his captain would be, and really it was a bit of a no-brainer. Joe Hart, you could make an argument for Joe Hart, but you know, at the time, was he guaranteed a place in the team? Yes, probably. But yeah, he'd no choice. Van Gaal did have more of a choice, but he did what managers often do, particularly foreign managers, and say, Jose Mourinho being a good example, when he came to Chelsea, John Terry was already the captain, but his best and earliest and probably easiest decision was to confirm John Terry in the captaincy, because, not only because of his leadership qualities, because he is of the country, of the club, and identified with the club in the way that Rooney is with Manchester.
I left one other thing out as well. Respect. The captain's got to have the respect of the players, because if he's not got that, then he's whistling in the wind, really.
And the problem with Rooney in that context is that, are the other players sure that he's Manchester United through and through? I mean, after all, he had a well-publicised 2 years ago attempt to leave the club. Where he was intending to go wasn't certain, but it might have been only a few miles away. So it's Rooney's. I don't think Rooney's held in that total respect that, say, Brian Robson was in previous Manchester United eras.
Roy Keane.
Roy Keane, an even better example.